Hey, hey, hey. Hey, Star family. How's everybody this hopefully awesome Sunday for most of you? Hope everyone's having a beautiful day. Great to see familiar faces here. So I'll go through the chat, but let me know how you're feeling with the energy. We've got a full moon coming up here on Thursday. It's going to be a full moon in Sagittarius, which is definitely an easier sign to work with. And there's no major aspects to it, no major squares or trines. There's a sextile up to Mars. So it's definitely more mild in nature, and this is meant to balance out a lot of the more practical Gemini energy that's been going on here. But quite the mild week. We got that full moon on Thursday. Basically tonight and tomorrow we have Venus trining up to Pluto, so there could be actually some deep connections, deep values, deep things to enjoy about life here in the next couple days. The moon will be in Scorpio though, which is not the most comfortable place for emotions and feelings, but we are quite used to that Scorpio energy, being that the moon's here once a month like the other signs, so it's nothing out of the blue there. But it's nice to see Pluto, that same planet of depth, supporting all of that. So full moon Thursday, then after that we have Saturn going retrograde, Saturn getting very, very close. This is actually the closest Saturn will get to the Neptune conjunction. I mentioned that last week, that it was last week, but it's actually late this week if you want to be very precise. The late part of this week and early next week will be the closest that Saturn will get to Neptune before the actual conjunction, which will be early next year. So we've been talking a lot about this. Saturn's about structure, Neptune's about spirituality, and these two coming together is very important. Anytime we have a conjunction like this collectively is very important. The last time we had a conjunction collectively like this, outside of Jupiter and Uranus, which happens a lot, but with Saturn, it was Saturn and Jupiter, and this was back in 2020. And so this was obviously a very important time, and so we're expecting some similar things, not in the way of so much manifestation, as Saturn and Jupiter deal a lot with manifestation. We notice a lot manifesting in the collective and personally in 2020, but I still think just as significant, if not more significant, because Neptune is a further out planet. So again, Saturn of structure, Neptune of spirituality. Neptune dissolves. Neptune wants us to do things that are more soul-fulfilling. Saturn wants to create structure, a long-term view on things. And so they are very close right now, very close at the end of this week, early next week, and then going exact with their conjunction late February of next year, but really activating in March of next year, really creating new beginnings around this. If everyone can let me know, it looks like we have a little bit of a delay here in the stream. If you could let me know if the audio is good and the video is good. Everything seems to be good on my end. But let me know if it's not anyways. I'll go ahead and continue. There could just be a very long delay in the feed. But, okay, everything's good. All right, thanks guys. So that's going to be very close here at the end of this week. So that's Saturn, with Saturn going retrograde. So Saturn's going to go retrograde on Saturday, Sunday. This is really for its roughly 5-month period, a little less than 5 months. I said 5 to 6 in the weekly. It's actually a little less than 5 actually, but around 5. But anyway, starting to reflect on some of the systems and structures that we've been building. We get this every year. It's a time to sort of reflect on what we've been building, and maybe take a little bit of a step back with some of the more, hard work and discipline kind of stuff, and reflect on it, redo it, right? Do some edits there, in whatever area of your life that you've been taking seriously and putting work in. So it's a mild week because usually we have a lot more going on. By the way, Mercury will go retrograde late next week, so Mercury is slowing down too. But all in all, it's a mild week considering, especially these recent weeks, we've had a lot more activity. So most important thing, full moon on Thursday, halfway point of a lunar month. It's in Sagittarius, which is all about expanding our horizons a little bit, accessing a little bit more of our free spirit in life. Oh no, this is actually, don't look at the sky, everyone. This is actually casted for a very different date. In fact, let me just go ahead and get it for today. Okay, there we go. So I'll have a full moon in Sag. So Sag is definitely easier. It's more free-spirited. Wait, this ain't right either. Hang on one second. There we go. Yeah, so easier to work with. It's all about expanding our horizons. It's really the connection to higher planes of consciousness, higher perspectives. It rules things like spirituality when it's about, again, this higher awareness on things, wisdom, knowledge, religion, teachings, gurus, sharing information, perspective teaching, professors, basically sharing our view of life. And so it's a great time to expand our view of life and also perhaps even share our view of life a little bit. It can also rule a bit of adventure and travel for some of you too. So anyways, it's a good status check. How has adventure, how has your perspective in general been? How has your free-spirited life been? Really, so far, we could say the last 6 months, which is the last time the sun was here. But how's it going? And maybe making some shifts and changes, and probably noticing some very important shifts and changes for both in the year and then also in the month, being that we tend to do that. So Thursday, some awareness there, and I think some important changes to the life path. All right, so let me go ahead and greet everyone here in the chat. Ari Gold, great to see you. Thank you so much for all of your support. Always very supportive and tuning in and sharing your perspective. It's very, very helpful. Ari Gold says, much love, Athen and true sidereal family. Erica says, hello, star friends. Hope all is well with you guys. Keeping cool in the heat of summer here in Southeast USA. Rain is coming. Yeah. And Neptune Pisces retrograde. Dreaming a lot and resuming incomplete artworks. Thanks so much, Erica. Always great to have you and very happy you're always sharing your perspective. Great to see you're getting some rain there. I know the Southeast has been, well, at least I know Florida has been surprisingly in a little bit of a drought there up until recently, I guess. But hope you enjoy the rain. Rain's always a great time, gets things even more green, and sometimes it gives a good excuse to stay inside and snuggle up. But either way, I hope you enjoy that. And yeah, maybe that's part of some of that Neptune retrograde there for you. Amanda? Always a pleasure. Thanks for joining as always. Hey, Athen and Cosmic Friends. Happy Sunday. Margaret, our moderator. Thank you so much, Margaret. Margaret wishes everyone a good morning. Holly, hello, Athen and Visible Sky Friends. Hey, Holly. Great to see you. Sprout Queen. Always great to have you on. Hello, family. Bobby. Happy day, Athen and Seated Ones. All right. Look Up Astrology. Cool name. I like that. Why not just look up? Hello Star Family says look up. So Sprout Queen has a question, general question, but using my chart as an example, sure. I have Saturn retrograde, 5D in Pisces. 5D. What is 5D there? Sorry. 5D in Pisces. Maybe 5th house? Or do you mean divisional chart? Let's see. So Saturn, 5 degrees. Sorry. Okay, Saturn retrograde, 5 degrees in Pisces. So Saturn went past this degree in April. And we'll do so again 2 more times. Okay, yeah, that's a really good question. Any insights into how to deal with these multiple visits? So actually the multiple visits are the most common. So it's totally normal to have a transit involving 1, 3, or 5 contacts. So one contact, so this would be usually with Jupiter, who's much faster. So this would be like if Jupiter went, and I don't know, you had your Jupiter return, maybe Jupiter went over your sun. It also happens with Saturn too. Sometimes Saturn will just make one contact. In this case, maybe just going over that part of your chart where you have 5 degrees Pisces just once. The single contacts are the easiest to work with. It can come on strong because with every first contact, we have to acclimate to the energy. And by the way, for those that aren't following, this is when we have transits. This is when we have like Saturn transiting in the sky and forming multiple contacts or multiple conjunctions. And the reason there's multiple is because of the retrograde. And that's why it works in 1, 3, and 5. So 1 pass is like there's no retrograde that went over it. 3 passes is one direct, then 1 retrograde, and then a direct again. And then 5 contacts is, of course, 2 retrogrades inside of that. So that's multiple contacts is what we mean when a transiting planet like Saturn or any other outer planet, any planet in transit is contacting parts of the natal chart, and it really drags out experiences. So typically, depending on the speed of the planet, 1 contact is concentrated around 1 month, give or take. It's all about orb, 1 degree orb, it's about a month. 3 contacts is about 9 months, okay? And then 5 contacts really can be extended to almost 2 full years. And so this really drags things out there, and that's typical of really Uranus and above. You won't see that ever with Saturn, and it's a little rare with Uranus, but especially Pluto can really have those 2-year transits, which really extend things. Anyways, if it's 1 contact, it's easier, you get it done. Any first contact, you have to get used to the energy, but once it happens, you're acclimated. With single contacts, you're basically doing everything all at once. You're acclimating to it, you're figuring it out, and you're implementing it. It's done. 3 contacts, the first contact is the acclimation. Okay, so let's say Saturn's going over your sun. That's introducing you. It's more challenging because it's introducing you to new energy. You got to get used to it. You got to work with it. Then the retrograde contact, the second contact, is learning. And you start to figure things out. It's usually more internal and more experiential. So that second contact, things tend to shift. But again, it's during the retrograde. So things are still kind of up in the air. Then the last contact is when things really finalize and things really complete. And that's where we have the completion with it. And that tends to be the easiest energy since we've been dealing with it for so long and we're quite acclimated to it by that point. So it tells a story. And of course, 5 contacts would just be where the middle 3 are that reworking sort of energy, where the third one is actually things really shifting like the halfway point really shifts things in a positive direction, in a developmental direction. It's always positive at the end of the day, but in a way that helps us integrate the energy. So yeah, so if you're having your first one, that would be the most difficult. You're acclimating to the energy. It's good to get used to it. When you do get your second one there, Sprout Queen, you'll probably be reflecting on things a little bit, be flexible with it. That's going to be with Saturn now retrograde, who's going retrograde on Sunday. And then the last one, things should solidify. I would also ask yourself, what did you start during the first contact? Because that can give you a very big hint as to what's completing at the last contact at the end. So you said it happened in April. So ask yourself what started there in April, and then count about 10 months, to be safe after that. And that's should be around your last contact. And that should tell you there, is it 10? Yeah, it's closer to 10. It's not a full 12, I'll tell you that. Somewhere between 9 and 12, and it depends on how far the planet's going retrograde from the contact. But anyways, you can look at transits. You might already be doing that because you know about this. But if you're 5 degrees Pisces, you're tracking that part. Yeah, so Saturn will go 5 degrees Pisces. I'll just tell you then, because 5 degrees Pisces should be a lot more. So you're talking maybe about another sidereal chart, because Saturn is, Saturn going to go all the way back? Actually, I think he will, yeah. Let's see. Let's set this to Aries. Yeah, 5 degrees Pisces. So that contact will be 1, 2, 1. Oh, and you know what? I've got a different zodiac pulled up because I'm about to be updating the zodiac. Anyways, check out when that second contact is. That'll give you an idea of when that's going to be reflected on. And then, of course, the final contact will be when that finishes. And it's really all in the context of what started in April. right, so I hope that gives everyone some general insights in terms of how to read transits. Transits are very important. That's how we predict, so-called predict things in the future. Of course, as many of you know, I'm a big believer of free will. I don't believe that our futures have been predetermined. But we can make probabilities, and it's really meant for personal growth and development, right? So just like the real weather, that's why they say weathermen or whatever, they're horrible at predicting things, because you have to work in the realm of probability when you're dealing with future stuff. Because honestly, our futures have not been preordained. I don't believe that. I don't think we're just going through the motions of having some kind of like playing out a movie or something like this. I think there is free will. I think it's equal parts. I think life is equal parts cyclical, as in predetermined, and free will. And so we can see where we're at in the cycles. That's the cyclical part. Astrology can help us with that. That's where we can play around with probabilities. But there's a lot of free will, a lot of change, a lot of ways that we can manifest our life. Christine Yen, thanks for joining. Grand Day Athen and all the beautiful cosmic souls. Chris, great to have you. Hi Athen. I was wondering if rising sign is the energy we're growing into. How does it differ from the North Node? Really good question. I may have answered it, but I'm going to answer it again. So I get asked a lot, like, what's the difference between the ascendant and the North Node? Because the ascendant is what's increasing, it's what life is helping us develop, but so is the North Node, right? It's our future life path, it's what our future destiny is. So what's the difference? Well, the nodes are very karmic. There's a lot of karmic challenges. There's a lot of push and pull between them. The South Node constantly pulling us back. We're learning a lot of lessons around how to make peace with those energies, and really having to be very proactive and take a lot of continuous effort towards our North Node, our future life path. Whereas the angles, like the ascendant, is more of what life's helping us develop. Okay, you can see the language is very different, in many ways easier. So if you look at your life experiences, yes, you'll see that your rising sign life is helping you develop your rising sign. So if you're rising in Aries, for example, life is going to help you develop more proactivity, more initiative, more independence. And in many ways, you can choose or choose not to do that. And you're not forced into it, or it's not very karmic like maybe your North and South nodes would be. But it is really good to do that, but it's easier, right? Life's supporting and doing that, and you will likely become more and more of your rising sign through time. So rising in Aries, you'll likely become more assertive and independent because life's been shaping that in you. But you can see, not as challenging, not as karmic, not as push and pull, and as the nodes, which are very much like the challenging life path that we're trying to align to. Whereas the ascendant is really who we're destined to become, and we can align to that or not, but we are becoming more of it as we align to it. What are these numbers with? I don't know if you all can see. They're like crowns with numbers. What is this? Actually, if someone could enlighten me. I'm not used to. I don't know if you all can see it. Maybe I can only see it because I'm a moderator, or Margaret, if you're seeing them. It's like it's next to everyone's name. It's like a crown with a number. I think 1, 2, or 3. Not sure what that is. Connie, great to see you. Hello from Vancouver, British Columbia. Thank you for these lives, Athen. You're very welcome, Connie. Thank you so much. Aquarius Sky Clock, always a pleasure. Hello from Northumberland. So Connie has a question. How do I find out what the placement of planets will be in August 23rd of 2025? That is my birthday. Is there somewhere I can check that? I'm in Vancouver. Yeah, absolutely. So Margaret put the birth chart calculator down already there. So if you check the chat, you can go to the birth chart calculator and just type in that date. So usually the birth chart calculator is for birth charts, but you can type in some future dates. I believe I updated it so you can. Margaret, if you could correct me, I think the chart calculator can cast into the future by some time. I'm not sure exactly how far, but I think you should be able to there, Connie. I'll let you know if not. Margaret will let you know if not. But anyways, just type in any date you want to look at for the future, and you'll see the actual sky for that. type in Vancouver as a so-called birth location, but in this case, just the location, and whatever time you want to use. Now, that's where things can get tricky because the houses are changing every 24 hours. They're doing a full rotation every 24 hours. And so you probably just want to look at the signs, but if there is a specific hour or time of day you want to look at, you can type in the time and then that'll tell you the houses. Otherwise, just look at the signs. You can ignore the houses for the whole day. Christine Yan, great for you to join us. Thank you so much. Crafty Girl, great for you to join us. Hi, everyone. I'm new. Well, welcome. And hopefully you're finding true sidereal astrology helpful and accurate. Using the visible sky here on this channel, in this community. Aya, great for you to join us. Great to see you. Greetings from South Africa. Felicity, aloha, Athen and all. Feel more lighter and joyful, dancing mostly. Well, I'll say it's definitely going to be a lighter and hopefully joyful week collectively. Of course, we're all going to have our challenges. Yes, there's still going to be things going on in individuals that are not collective, but collectively speaking, Sagittarius full moons are pretty cool, pretty lighter, pretty hopeful, pretty inspiring. So anyways, I'm glad you're enjoying the energy either way, Felicity, and I hope everyone has a nice, light and joyful week. And be sure to click the notification bell down below. Everyone, if you're not already, click the notification bell. I always forget to say this, because the notification bell will let you know as soon as these weeklies, as well as any other YouTube videos released. And we do put out some, unscheduled content. Like Anna Maria was doing some really cool summer solstice videos. But anyways, you'll be notified exactly when we go live. You will be notified when we have the weekly forecast. So click that notification bell, and it also helps the channel grow a lot too. So Holly says, I just printed out the MTZ Insiders report for the coming week. Really cool. And that's why I have it in that PDF form. I'm glad you're printing it out. It's savable. You can print it. I think it's a really cool format that allows you to, really, have it tangible there. So happy you're printing it out there. Okay. Donna, great to see you. Hello, you lovely lot. I have a question. Has knowing astrology helped any of y'all in relationships? And if the astrology chart isn't compatible, would you kick it to the side? So that's a great question, and I hope everyone who has some perspective to share on that puts that in the comments section. I think that's a very helpful question for everybody. But my perspective with that is no. I mean, I think any relationship can work. With astrology, we can tell basically what are perhaps some of the best ways of working with the relationship. But I will say that if the north and south nodes, if we're not supporting each other on our north and south nodes, in other words, we're not aligned to our life path energies, the relationship's not. I do a lot of these synastries, and really 99, I don't know, maybe only 95, but a tremendous amount of what I've noticed is that the relationship has to be in alignment to the path. Now, we cannot see that just from the astrology, I don't believe. So to answer your question very bluntly, no, I don't think that, the chart should determine whether you should be in a relationship or not. But it can help us tremendously in figuring out, okay, what's our life path and how can we align to it? And is this relationship in alignment to it? In this case, is this person in alignment with my life path? So, for example, this is just the transits for earlier this year in April. But anyways, if this is someone's chart and they had the north node in the 11th and in Pisces, and the south node was in Virgo, and in the 5th, we would say that. We were checking to see, okay, is this person going to be compatible? Well, we'd want to check the life path for the other chart, but you wouldn't even have to do that. All you'd have to ask is if this is this is my, let's say this was your chart, Donna, okay? This is where you want to make sure that you're with relationships that are supporting you with that north node. Well, with your chart anyways, the north node, but here with the 11th house in Pisces. So this chart here would be that it's really good to be in relationships where it's like more like friends, actually, maybe like your best friend. Maybe you're doing community things, or at least they're supporting you in your community direction and your contributions and whatever you're doing. So basically supporting you on your north node. And we want to make sure that there's not too much energy, especially conscious energy, pulling into the south node. So in this chart, we want to make sure that the person is not very much pulling you towards self-expression or passion and love, or where they're not all about just passion, love, and self-expression. And that tends to be quite fleeting when it comes to these kinds of charts. But as you can see, we're checking to make sure that it fits with the life path in how the relationship's showing up. How it shows up is equally free will with the chart itself, and that's why we'd want to check the other chart too. And with synastry charts, we can see the general compatibility, like how are the sun placements together? Is there any conjunctions? What is Venus doing? These are all very helpful things for personality. Are there any planets in the 1st and 7th house, which tend to be very strong? But most importantly, how I start every synastry reading is with the life path, making sure that it's in alignment there like that. So anyways, check your north and south nodes. You can use that chart calculator as well. Margaret, actually, if you could hunt down those north and south node videos I did. They're not on the website. They're only on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. It might be on the homepage of the YouTube. I think it is, actually. Or if you just search on YouTube, MTZ, or Mastering the Zodiac, North Node, First House. I made a whole series on it. So if you could post that for everyone, and Donna as well. So Donna, yeah, check your life path from the chart calculator. See mainly what house is it in. So here it's this horseshoe looking thing is the North Node, okay? So N is right side up, horseshoe, N for North Node. This would be in the 11th house. Your South Node, which is, there's a U in South, so U for South Node. That's in the 5th house. And so look up the video, North Node, the 11th, South Node, and the 5th. Okay, that's one video. That's one video that includes both. Find out what your life path is, and then see if that relationship supports it. By far the most valuable thing. If you want a deeper analysis, we can hook you up with Anna Maria. Margaret, if you could also put the discount link to Anna Maria's page. She does really good synastry and compatibility, so you can order that. But start here. Start with the life path and seeing and asking yourself these questions about if the person aligns to it. I recommend everyone do this really with all your relationships, because it also helps in realigning the relationship. What is needed for the relationship, how to have a healthy relationship regardless of relationship it is. As you said, we can do this with anybody in every relationship. It's not always going to work because not everyone's wants to be in alignment. They're having their own life path. It can get complicated, but at least we know what we need and what kind of relationships to look out for, and also doing this sort of analysis of our current relationships and how they align or not. So Holly's asking, can you tell me how the full moon in Sagittarius may affect my moon in Taurus in the 9th house? Thanks. Well, there's an association with the 9th house, but let's see. So if the full moon's in Sag, Taurus is in your 9th. So if Taurus is in your 9th, Sagittarius would be in your 2nd. Let's see, this is Taurus, Aries. Taurus is in your 9th, right? Yeah, so Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Libra, Scorpio. Yeah, so it'd be in your 2nd house. Let me check that real quick. No, that's not right. So let's see, who has Taurus in the 9th? Would be Capricorns. No. Taurus in the 9th is Virgos, right? Yeah, Virgos. So your Virgo rising, Taurus in the 9th. Sagittarius would be in your 4th house, excuse me, not the 2nd, the 4th. So that should be involving your personal life, home and family, okay? Location, things like this, doing a status check with that stuff. So status check with security. How do you have security for yourself and others? Everyone can do this with the chart calculator. You can see wherever you have Sagittarius in your chart. For Holly, it's probably in her 4th house, as I did here. But just check to see where really the middle of Sagittarius is. The full moon is pretty much in the middle. Find out where the middle of Sag is. That's going to tell you the house that the full moon's happening in. And that can be telling you what area of life is developing for you. Okay. And you can just look that up. You know, full moon in the 4th house tells you a lot. Donna says, the calm before the storm, preparing for retrograde. Yeah, it's so wild how quick this Mercury retrograde is again. There's 3 a year, but it feels like we just had one. Anyways, some things to start. We're in the shadow period, coming into the shadow period now, so good to already prepare in the sense of being a bit flexible and adaptive, because a lot of the stuff we're experiencing now and into next week will be the stuff going through reworking, right? Because we have the shadow. What that means is that the area that Mercury's going retrograde through is the area we're experiencing. But let's see exactly where we're at here. So let's get back to today. Let's see exactly when Mercury enters the shadow. So to do this, we need to figure out, where does Mercury go direct after the retrograde from? So we need to go quite a bit forward. So Mercury's going to go direct right here, right in the just before the middle of Cancer. By the way, the signs are different because I'm updating the boundaries, everyone. You all always have a sneak peek into the developments of MTZ. Did not mean to share this with everyone today, but since the cat's out of the bag, we are making some more precise adjustments to the true sidereal boundaries. Still, if anything's within 3 degrees, you need to consider to blend anyways, and in that sense, nothing really changes. But there is some more specific calculations. We're basically standardizing the whole system to be IAU and Vedic compliant. IAU being the International Astronomical Union, that's the Western zodiac constellations. The Vedic obviously have their constellations. Both are equally used today and both equally valuable today. And so we want to make sure that we honor both of them. And so we're going to be standardizing the system so it fits within both of them and makes it more specific and more precise, because right now the boundaries are estimated to around the nearest 1/4 of a degree, 1/2 a degree, but we can get even more specific with that, and we can even use the actual IAU and Vedic lines, which we've been using more looser lines. Now we're going to use more standardized, again, IAU and Vedic are the modern day constellations to use, so we want to use those, and it makes everything more standardized, makes everything more universal and way more specific. Not that you want to be specific with true sidereal, because again, it's all visual, right? So anything that's close between 2 signs needs to be considered a blend. That's very important. But it's nice to have a more precise line, and so that's what we're going to be doing. Should be released within the next week or 2, actually. So stay tuned for that. This will be also involving an update to Prometheus. For those of you having Prometheus, if you want it, you can continue to use the legacy, the current boundaries, which there's nothing wrong with. It's extremely helpful. It's what I've been doing my readings with for this past 13, 14 years, all very accurate. But if you want that more updated and standardized version, that'll be available here shortly. But anyways, here's Mercury, where Mercury is going to go direct. I think we've already passed through that point, haven't we? So right at the beginning, let's see. So we're going to go back. So July 11th. Yeah, so we started passing through Mercury's shadow basically June 30th, let's say. So we're basically already a week into the shadow. So think about what's been going on the past week. Think about what might be going on the next couple weeks. Okay. And that's the stuff that's likely going to be going through retrograde, through reflection, through redoing, through, adapting and changing things. All right, so let's see, we got a lot of activity here today in the chat. That's really cool. Lookup says, I'm actually looking forward to some retrograde energy. I need to slow down. Yeah, that's great. That's a great perspective. Retrogrades are very constructive times for reflection, taking a step back. That's awesome you're seeing it that way. Also, Holistic was able to join us from Australia. Hi, Athen and MTZ community. I normally listen to the replays because I'm in Australia, but I'm navigating insomnia, so I'm here joining live. Well, I hope you get some sleep there. Was it holistic soul? I still do occasionally suffer from insomnia. It's very difficult, but you seem to have a very good perspective on it, very positive perspective. And in many ways, there's a lot of benefits. I don't know if you've noticed that, but either way, we do need our sleep, and hope you're able to navigate that. And I hope you do find that there. But in either case, great to have you. Yeah, great to take the extra time to enjoy the moment and experience things we may not have if rushed around. Yeah, that's why we need the retrogrades, right? Xena Warrior, great to see you. Question about the galactic center. Is it always on the descendant in the natal chart? No. The galactic center is at the end of a fucus. So wherever you have the end of a fucus, this sign here, this symbol here, it can be anywhere in the chart though. Ipafai, great for you to join us from Finland. So Holistic has a question. In the last 12 weeks, in last week's live replay, you mentioned how you got into true sidereal. You mentioned how true sidereal has its roots from what you had learned and developed from tropical astrology. So I'm not sure exactly what that replay was. I have talked about this before though. But yeah, I started off with tropical astrology. Then I switched, quickly over to sidereal once I really experientially experienced this this split between tropical and the true sky. And I think I was mentioning, holding up that phone with the app, to see where this full moon was. And when I saw it right there in the middle of Taurus, when tropical said it was in Gemini, but I'm seeing it right there in Taurus, it really changed my perspective. And I think we all experience, that true sidereal shift in different ways, of course. But I think it all hits us, on that same level. It's like, why would we use only the seasons? Now, I get why you might use the seasons sometimes, but if you're going to do astrology, shouldn't you use the sky? Sprout Queen, according to Prometheus transit chart, Saturn retrograde goes back over 5 degrees around November 24th. Okay, cool. I'm glad you looked it up. That sounds about right. So that's the second contact. Yeah. And then you'll have the last one. Probably it sounds like just before that April contact. I would guess maybe around February. That would be my guess, but yeah. So Donna says, I agree on the free will, but synchronicities show that there is something else at play. Absolutely, absolutely. That's why I'm saying there's that definitely that mix, the dance between free will and what I generally call predeterminism. So Aya says, hey, Athen, how do we locate our North Star in astrology chart? Is it the same as the North Node? Well, the North Star, so typically with astrology, we are using the ecliptic, which is the path of the sun and the other planets. Then the North Star is not on that plane, right? So the North Star is much, much higher. Of course, you could plot it, and maybe we could see if Prometheus has it. Let me see if Prometheus has. And does anyone know the name of the North Star? So this is the North Star that guides us. So in the summer months, we're able to see it. And it's guided navigators for many years. What is that North Star? Because actually, I don't know the name of it in terms of the scientific or ancient name, unless Prometheus would have it as North Star. It's a great question. I've never actually considered it. But again, we typically wouldn't use it because it's not on the ecliptic or that close to the ecliptic. We'd want to plot stars that deal with like the constellations, like Regulus and Leo, Antares and Scorpio, for example. But you can still plot it. You can always plot any star on the ecliptic, which means you're basically taking the, I've got Stellarium pulled up. I wonder if Stellarium has North Star. No, if anyone could tell me what the name of that is. What is the name of the North Star? But let me see if I can find the answer to that. Hey, but it's very different from the North Node. The North Node is the lunar intersection. So where the transiting moon intersects the ecliptic or the path of the sun. And it's where we have eclipses. So those are very different. So I don't know, maybe you're asking about the North Star because sometimes it can be confused that, we think of the North Node as the North Star because the North Node is what we're supposed to be moving into. It's what's guiding us. So you can actually think of the North Node as the North Star in terms of what we think about the North Star, that, we follow it, it guides us. But anyways, yeah, it's very different. But now you got me thinking about the North Star because I've never actually considered that. Christine Cardoza, great for you to join us. Hi, Soul Family. Holistic question. I'm curious if there's other perspectives to true sidereal astrology beyond tropical and mythology. Perspectives, well, I'm sure there's tons of them. There's Hindu based, so Vedic astrology, basically when it's used in its advanced form, using the nakshatras, is true sidereal. Even though the signs are regular sidereal, the nakshatras make it true sidereal. They start to use the actual stars and stuff. So you've got Hindu version. There's also, evidence of Chinese, obviously, using their form of astrology coming from true sidereal, coming from the actual sky. You got the Egyptians, obviously, using the actual sky with their star alignments and Sirius and all this stuff. So, true sidereal is really, I would say, multifaceted. And most arguably, and I would argue the most multifaceted of all the astrologies because, well, true sidereal is the visible sky. So, of course, all these cultures around the world, Native Americans as well, all using the sky as we see it, which is what true sidereal is. So I would say there's a ton of different perspectives. The unfortunate thing is we only have records of the mainstream Western and the mainstream Eastern, and so the knowledge and information is a bit limited. All right, so we'll go ahead and start wrapping up, everyone. Let me just go through here, make sure I haven't missed any questions. Oh, that's my fans numbered. So the number is your fans number, but why does it change? So is it, I guess, is it changing just because the ranks are changing? Because I see Margaret's number 3, then maybe that's, I see, so that's the rank changing. Maybe that's what it is. All right, so a little bit of a YouTube thing for competition, I see. Who's gonna be my number 1 fan? And number 2, number 3. All right, well, that's interesting. All right, let's see, anything else? Oh, actually, there's a lot more questions. Oh wow, there's a lot more questions that I'm not gonna get to, guys. Gotta start wrapping up here soon. All right, Christine. Yeah, I can't get too specific on the nodes there, but maybe next on a future stream, I might be able to answer some general questions about the nodes there. Oh, I got birds singing. That's good to know. I have my noise cancellation earbuds in, but that's nice. And cool, the chart calculator will work for later dates. That's really good to know. Yeah, Saturn retrograde. So a chart shows Saturn in retrograde until Monday. Well, remember that there's a station period, and so it depends on how you calculate the station. But Saturn will be technically retrograde by late Saturday and early Sunday for us, I believe. I mean, that's what Prometheus said. Let me double check that. Now you have me second guessing that. Where are we? We're in July 2025, 6, 12, and 13. Right, that's because of the station. So you can see it says SRX. So Saturn does go station on the 12th, 13th. But isn't considered fully in backwards motion until the 14th. That's very natural. But if you do look at the actual slowing down, the actual pause is halfway in there between those station retrogrades, which is late Saturday, early Sunday. All right, so we'll go ahead and conclude. Sorry if I didn't get to your questions. There's still a lot there. I didn't realize how much there were because it wasn't getting updated in the chat there. But anyways, if you did ask a question, didn't get answered, of course, we meet every Sunday, so you can ask it there as well if you could. But thank you, everyone. Hope you all have a great week. Have a great full moon. That'll be on Thursday, and I'll see you all next Sunday. All right, take care. Bye-bye.